Have you ever wondered why some people work their entire lives, saving every penny, only to find themselves struggling in their 70s? The truth is much scarier than most people realize. According to the latest data from the Federal Reserve, the typical American household approaching retirement has between $185,000 and $200,000 in their savings. After 40 years of labor, that is the price of their freedom. It might sound like a decent amount, but when you factor in inflation, rising healthcare costs, and a life expectancy that stretches decades, that fortress starts to look more like a house of cards. Today, we are going to perform an autopsy on the most common financial mistakes that destroy your retirement dreams. We are going to look at the 7 silent killers that could be eating away at your hard-earned money right now. This is not about getting rich quickly. This is about protecting your legacy, ensuring your independence, and making sure you never, ever have to become a financial burden to your children. Welcome. We are here today to strip away the jargon and simplify the complex financial truths that impact your future. Before we dive into the list, let us clear up one of the biggest illusions in modern finance. Many people feel a false sense of security because of their home. They see their property value go up and think they are millionaires. But there is a dangerous gap between being house rich and being retirement ready. You cannot use your kitchen cabinets to pay the electric bill. You cannot use the drywall in your living room to buy groceries. Home equity is locked wealth. Unless you sell your home or take on new debt, that money is not working for you. True retirement readiness comes from liquid, invested assets. Money that generates a paycheck while you sleep. Without this distinction, you are simply a caretaker of an expensive building, not a master of your own time. Now, let us analyze the first silent killer: attempting to time the market. It feels logical to buy when things are low and sell when things are high. But the reality is that nobody, not even the experts on television, can consistently predict the future. The market moves in ways that feel random in the short term. History shows that if you invested $10,000 in the S&P 500 back in 1995 and simply left it alone, you would have over $200,000 today. However, if you missed just the 10 best days in that entire 30-year period because you were waiting on the sidelines, you would have almost half as much money. Just 10 days. Timing the market is more like gambling than investing, and at 55 or 60, you no longer have the luxury of losing half your chips. The second killer is panic selling during volatility. This is where emotions destroy decades of discipline. When the market drops, your brain goes into survival mode. It screams at you to get out before you lose everything. Think back to March of 2020. The market fell nearly 30% in just a few weeks. The headlines were screaming about a global collapse. For many beginners, the fear was overwhelming, and they sold everything at the bottom. But what actually happened? Within months, the market had fully recovered. If you had held on, your portfolio would have doubled over the next 18 months. A drop on paper only becomes a real loss the moment you hit the sell button. Volatility is not a reason to run. It is simply the price you pay for long-term growth. The third killer is the most dangerous because it is invisible. It is the silent thief of high fees and hidden costs. A 2% annual fee might not seem like a lot when your account is small. But imagine you have $100,000 invested. Compare a fund that charges 2% to one that charges 0.05%. Over 30 years, that tiny difference could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost returns. You are essentially handing over a massive chunk of your retirement to a middleman who took none of the risk. This is why legends like John Bogle pushed for low-cost index funds. He saw how fees slowly eat the harvest of average investors. Check your statements today. If you do not know exactly what you are paying, you are likely paying too much. The fourth killer is the lack of diversification, or putting all your eggs in one basket. We all remember the horror stories of Enron or the dot-com crash. Many employees had their entire lives invested in one company stock. When those companies collapsed, they did not just lose a job, they lost their entire future. The solution is simple, but often ignored. Use index funds or ETFs to spread your risk across hundreds of companies at once. That way, if one sector struggles, your entire fortress does not come crumbling down. The fifth killer is chasing hot stocks or the latest fads. Whether it is a new cryptocurrency, a meme stock, or a flashy tech company everyone is talking about on social media. By the time everyone is talking about it, the opportunity is usually gone. Chasing hype is a young person's game, and even for them, it usually ends in tears. For a prudent steward of wealth, your goal is steady, boring, and predictable growth. Boring is beautiful when it comes to retirement. The sixth killer is ignoring your emergency fund. This might seem separate from investing, but they are deeply linked. If you do not have 6 to 12 months of cash sitting in a safe, liquid account, you will eventually be forced to sell your investments at the wrong time just to cover a medical bill or a car repair. An emergency fund is the moat around your castle. It protects your long-term investments from the short-term chaos of life. The seventh and final killer is the expectation of getting rich quickly. Investing is a marathon, not a sprint. Warren Buffett famously said that the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Many people reach their 50s, realize they are behind, and start taking massive risks to catch up. This almost always leads to even bigger losses. You must respect the process of compounding. This brings us to the concept of tipping points. The first $100,000 is the hardest. It feels like pushing a boulder uphill. Your contributions are doing all the work, and the growth feels tiny. But once you pass that mark, the boulder starts to roll. When you reach $500,000, a 10% return earns you $50,000 in a single year. That is an entire salary generated by your money alone. By the time you reach $1 million, the growth starts to happen at a mind-blowing pace. The second million arrives much faster than the first because compounding has finally taken over the heavy lifting. To make this work, you need a clear strategy, like the 4% rule. This rule suggests that if you have a well-balanced portfolio, you can safely withdraw 4% of your balance each year, adjusted for inflation without ever running out of money. If you have a $500,000 portfolio, that gives you $20,000 a year. Combined with an average Social Security benefit of $23,000, a single person could live on $43,000. For a couple, that number could easily reach $60,000 or more. It is not a life of luxury, but it is a life of dignity and security. It is a life where you are the master of your own schedule. Retirement is not an age, it is a financial number. It is the moment when your assets generate more income than your lifestyle requires. Do not let these 7 silent killers take that away from you. Stop trying to outsmart the market. Stop paying high fees for average advice. And stop worrying about the daily noise of the news. Focus on what you can control. Minimize your costs, maximize your diversification, and give your money the time it needs to grow. You have worked hard for your money. Now, it is time to make sure your money works hard for you. Check your accounts today. Look for those hidden fees. Rebalance your portfolio if you are too heavily weighted in one area. And most importantly, stay the course. The journey to your retirement fortress is long, but every step you take today brings you closer to the peace of mind you deserve. If you found this analysis helpful, please consider subscribing and sharing this with someone who needs to hear the truth about their retirement. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video as we continue to decode the world of finance for your benefit. Take care and stay wise.